Hey guys, welcome in to Coffee and Chel, episode 17. I am No Sleeves, joined by my co-host, Kesso, as always. And what we do every week to start our episode, we find out what's going on in the crazy life of Kesso. So tell me what's going on this past couple of days.
Yeah, the crazy almost 30 married life where we're in bed by like 10 o'clock.
Do you
The
get
wife and
tired
I went,
earlier? Like 9:30? Like if
yeah.
I'm
Well, we
it
do, and
sucks.
then I get up earlier now, Like I just feel like I'm almost 30. Like I'm up at like on the weekends 8 o'clock, like I'm out there shoveling snow, I'm getting the pets outside, I'm feeding them, I'm handling things. But now the wife and I went on a date this weekend,
Oh,
Friday night. We went
what
out to
did you do?
dinner. We went out to dinner,
Okay.
and then we went to a movie. We saw the movie Licorice Pizza. I don't know if
Okay.
you've heard of it.
Never.
Great movie, director Paul Thomas Anderson. I recommend it.
Okay.
If anybody's looking to watch it at some point when it's on streaming, it was entertaining. I
Mean
liked it.
thing
And
to
then,
say to someone who lives in Ontario, but fair enough.
oh yeah, you guys can't. It's so crazy
Movie
because it's like
theaters and restaurants are closed.
literally the neighbors to the north can't do anything, and you guys
Yo,
just
January
literally can't do
31st,
anything.
everything opens up 50%. Get this, though. We can eat inside, but movie theaters can't serve food.
That
Dude, we're
doesn't make
just making
much
stuff
sense,
up
huh?
as we go. But nonetheless.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
so you went to the movie. That's good, man. What time
It's
did the
fun.
date end? Keep it
We were
PG.
home by like we were home by I think 10 or 10:30,
Dude, that's
and then
wild.
every night ends up with us on the couch watching like Always Sunny or something.
Dude, I'll tell you the moment I remember going out with my wife when we were still engaged, and I was like, okay, so there's this spot in Niagara Falls that if you grow up there and like you go there every weekend. So it's down on Clifton Hill. If anyone that's been to the falls, everyone knows what that is. It's basically where all the attractions are, right along where the falls are. Very tourist heavy, but there's a place called Boston Pizza, which is a Canadian franchise, which is crazy to me. And it's like a special one because it's not just a restaurant. There's like a bowling alley, but there's like 8 pool tables, very done up. There's an indoor arcade there, but very bar heavy, and that's where everyone goes in the city. Usually, you go there till like midnight, then you go to the club that's up the street. So, anyways, is where you go every single weekend when you're 19 till like I would say 22 ish when you're from Niagara. So I'm like 27 and she's 25 at the time. And I hadn't been there in like 3 years because after you get old enough, you go to St. Catharines, which is like where Brock goes, a big university here, and there's like a street of bars, and that's where like you graduate to. So I haven't
Yeah.
been to Boston Pizza in years. I go down there, it's like 11:30. We get in, I knew the bouncer still. He was a buddy of mine, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. Walk in, and we get in there, and it's like 11:30, and for whatever reason, we just wanted to get some food. And we take a look around. I'm looking for a place either at the bar or a place to sit down. I look around, I look back on my wife, and I'm like, I feel so old. This is disgusting. Cause it's nothing but 19 and 20-year-olds. I looked at her. I'm like, I don't even want to be here. It's too loud. I don't like all the people. I have no interest in this. We literally turned around and went out to like I don't know where. I don't know, like a small like family restaurant at like 11:30 at night. I was just like, this. I'm old. I'm old now, and that's just
Yeah,
how it
dude, you,
is.
you graduate to Applebee's after that,
That's it
or something.
exactly. Or the keg would
Yeah,
be where when
yeah.
you've made it.
We've had a lot of those because like throughout like college and stuff, we were always like the oldest. Like we were the first class that my university allowed men to like live on campus. Yeah, it was like a women's centered university whenever we went there, right? So like as the 4 years went on, more people were coming in. So we were always like there's like a core of us, like 5 to 6 people,
Yeah.
but then like we had like younger friends and stuff throughout. So like we were like 25, 26, and like some of those younger ones still went out to like in Pittsburgh, it's the South Side where everybody goes. It's like in that age range. And we got to a point, it's like I can't be there. I can't be
Yeah.
seen there. Like I'm too old for this. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not our scene anymore.
It is definitely it's tough when nothing time never loses, bro. It always wins.
I
It'll
don't know about
always
you.
get you.
I always say it like I'm only getting better with age, man.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely,
I love it.
absolutely.
I'm ready for 30.
It's good. It's not as bad as you think, especially because you've got everything locked down.
Yeah.
There is that 30-year-old, like if you don't have kids and you're not married and you don't have a house. I think every guy has that like, kind of feeling a little bit, but it's all just
Yeah.
made up by society. It is what it
It
is. It's
is.
just
It really
pressure.
is. And then also this weekend, Sleeves,
Yeah.
you and I probably partaked in watching football all weekend.
Yeah,
Am I right?
unbelievable, unbelievable.
Is this the best like second like divisional round of playoffs ever?
I think the first round because they went to that super wild card format was awful. Like
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
all
There's so many
blowouts.
blowouts.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was awful. But this game, we're recording this Sunday night, guys. So I have the Chiefs and Bills game on right now above me, and man, that dude, I thought Tom, I was just like he's undefeated. Like he okay. You're a Pittsburgh fan. I'm assuming you're a Steelers fan, which you are.
Yes.
We've been over this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I grew up as a Patriots fan, and I don't think maybe I'm wrong because I'm biased being a Patriots fan. There will never be another athlete like Tom Brady in our generation, right?
I don't see how it's possible because
Yeah,
it's
like
like
I don't know who would even ride. Like if LeBron had won more of his championships, like then maybe because he'd been to like
but it's
11.
weird in basketball though because it's like an individual has such a huge
Yeah,
impact,
that's
right? Like
true.
in
Yeah,
football, it's like Tom Brady has more Super Bowls than every other franchise, right?
it's just absurd, man.
So it just doesn't make sense how it's happened, and there's so many moments in his career, right? You got like the Seahawks Super Bowl, you got the 28-3 comeback, and then today you almost had was it 27-3?
I thought for sure because like Stafford, dude, the Rams are the most talented team that's still left in the playoffs. But like Stafford, like
Yes.
it's hard to bet on someone who's like never been there, even though Stafford's
Yeah.
very good, but he has just never done anything with the. Obviously, he was with the Lions, and it was just like I was like, oh my god, he's gonna do it. Like the Tom's coming back again, like just insane. But I think
Yeah.
that if he keeps, I mean, the thing is that he wasn't always the most statistical leader in terms of like, but he's gonna play long enough like to beat the yardage record, the touchdown record, all that stuff. That like it's just it's nuts. Yeah, and I think that we're never gonna see like we could have with Tiger maybe like that probably would have been the next closest if he would have just stayed
Yeah.
healthy and avoided all the drama outside. But yeah, like I don't think we'll
Yeah.
ever see it in hockey. Dude, can we talk about the Oilers for a second? I
Yeah,
don't know
we
if you've been
can. Yeah.
outside
No, no,
following that.
I've been following it. I don't watch, I follow, you know.
Like so I tweeted out I did this thing sometimes where teams are doing really bad and I look back at like history of like moves and whatnot. If the Oilers had never like let's pretend Peter Chiarelli never signed and was the general manager of the Oilers and they just didn't have anyone and they just autopilot and re-signed their guys and whatnot, dude, they would have had Taylor Hall, they would have had Jordan Everly, they would have had Justin Schultz, they would have had Matthew Barzal. They've traded away the pick to get Matthew Barzal. Like it's just absurd to me. Like because you have Connor McDavid and you have Leon Draisaitl and you just can't get the rest of your team. Like
It's crazy because it's like no matter what, you have like the 20 to 25 million locked up in like those two players each
but
year,
they're
right?
worth
Like
it, which is crazy.
they are
like that.
and
Like you know what I mean? Like
Connor McDavid. The only reason he's not paid more is because there's that cap on it, right? Realistically, he's probably worth 20 million a year with how good he
it's
is.
nuts.
And like we haven't seen like a statistical output like that from like a player in a long time. But it's just I knew they were screwed once they signed Lucic to that like was it 6
Yeah, it
year
was a
deal
wild
like
one,
years
yeah.
ago, and
Yeah.
it's just so mismanaged overall, and it's sad to see because it's like so as a Penguins fan, right? There's like the Crosby Ovechkin rivalry, and hockey's such a team sport that it doesn't. No one player can like will their team to the Stanley Cup. So every year is like, oh, Ovechkin choked. Realistically, he didn't. And we're gonna get to the point where like McDavid's gonna be kind of in that conversation because he isn't gonna win a cup, but he's still the best player.
Dude, if you have
And it's
he's on
just
pace for 150 points. Like if you don't
in
make
today's league.
like that is just wild to me. Like if they
Yeah.
just get average goaltending, they probably win the Pacific because it's just not a very good division. Like absurd, man, absurd.
Yeah, it's
Let's talk about Hockey Ultimate Team. That's why probably why
That's
they're
why
here.
people are here, right? Sorry for those 10 minutes.
Yeah, those segments get a little bit longer. That's our plan, guys. You don't realize, but then eventually we just don't talk about NHL anymore.
That'll be
So,
great.
all right, so we got a new event. Community hated it. We have rose-colored glasses because we're game changers and we see the other
Oh,
side.
we love every single thing that EA does.
Yeah.
We're yes men, right?
Absolutely, but we usually are a little bit more not ones to fly off the handle, I guess. So the new event, first, overall, the community did not like it, and I understand why, and I think I want to discuss why people don't like it more than the actual event. But so yeah, we got the leaders event, six new MSPs, and I think the one thing that we got to talk about real quick is that their event cycle and how they release content. Everyone wants to compare MLB because it is the gold standard now of Ultimate Teams to like any other mode. So when NHL does something, it's like why can't they do this and just copy it from MLB? I think people have to remember that week to week MLB has very little content at all. Like they come out with headliners and it's basically cards you can pull in like special packs so there's a higher opportunity. But usually those aren't sought after at all, other than like for collections. But what happens is like every about 6 to 8 weeks they release like the affinity programs where it's like 32 great cards, one for every team. And it's just I'm wondering, guys, you let us know, and I like the feedback here. I'm wondering if people would prefer that over what EA does, where it's just like, dude, EA does what I do on YouTube. Just post relentlessly. Like it's just
That was a good one.
nonstop, bro. Whereas
Yeah.
like, maybe if I made like 2 banger videos a week, I'd end up with the same views as opposed to like putting like 18. But like that's what it looks like is happening because it's tough for EA because every 2 weeks they got to come out with these events, and if they don't continually beat the last event, you just run out of time and everything's 99. Like there's no way to, you know what I mean? So this event comes out and we can easily state that there is no end game card. I think we can agree on that.
I will say
That
it's
you
hard for me
think
to say that.
all right, hang on a second here because I think I know the one player you're going to
Yeah,
go with.
yeah,
But let's
yeah.
rank our 6.
Okay,
I'll
let's
go
rank our 6. We did that last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go 6 and 5.
Okay, 6 and 5. Randy Carlisle is 6.
Mine is 6 as well. I made a video on this,
Okay.
so I'm not making it up as I go. All right, what's your
Okay.
5th?
My 5th was Hellebuck.
5th was Hellebuck. All right, let's go.
Okay. My 4th, I had him on a notepad here as I'm looking through. So my 4th are actually 1 through 4. I think is almost interchangeable.
It's
Um,
very similar, yes. I
very
feel like
close.
I feel like we're gonna have the same one though.
Yeah. So I might have Barkov at 4.
I almost positive I have Barkov at 4, but say your next one because I can't remember if I switched them.
Smith at number 3.
Okay, I had Smith 2.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
Number 2, I have John Carlson.
I had Barkov 4, Carlson 3. Okay,
Okay.
now I remember. Yep,
And then
Linden.
you know who
Linden.
Linden, who I've made and I, have been using.
Good.
I like him a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he
And I
feel
see what
fast
you-
or just feel sluggish?
He doesn't feel sluggish.
Okay.
I have him 92 acceleration. I have the Excelsons on him. He's 6'4", man. Like you can bump everybody.
You know what's
I like it. I like it a
Wild
lot.
cards around 90 speed that are like 6'4", not 6'6" and above, or like bigger than that. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go, but I'm pretty sure Shea Weber is 6'4" or 6'3". He feels way faster than his 90 speed, and I'm wondering if it's a stride thing. I'm making this up in tinfoil hatting it, but like there is something about that Weber card and some of the other guys that are in that 6'3" to 6'4" range. That Ranson is another one. He has 92 speed and he feels fast for it.
He has
And maybe
92s. I have the Excel ones on him, so like I don't have 92
oh,
speed.
you have
on him. He still
94
feels-
acceleration.
I have
92.
94 Excel. Yeah.
I might do that this week. But yeah, like so
Yeah.
it's just I'm wondering if that's it. Guys, let us know in the comment section. Maybe if you agree, disagree. I'm just realizing it as he was talking. But yeah, so we can talk about Linden. So I think there a card in there that you feel like people have to make?
No, I
Okay,
don't.
that's what.
I
Okay,
don't.
yeah.
And that's fair enough. But I did, and I was thinking about this earlier in the week because I'm like, what do we have to talk about this week,
Yeah.
right? New event, what else? You said there's no end game cards. You might be right, just because there's nothing like, oh, you have to get on this team, but where the stats are almost near end game except for speed and excel. Like you looked at Ryan Smith, he has like almost 99 everything, right? It's in like the 95 to 98 rating range, and that's like a shooting, like passing, deking, all that stuff, right? The John Carlson, if right-handed defensemen weren't just so stacked where like everybody had the Burns, a lot of people have the Weber. Team of the year Fox people just made because that was like the second or third best one you can make.
I'm sad about that right now because I'm hamstrung
Yeah.
with him.
Too, right? Carlson might be the best right-handed defenseman in the game.
If he
but
had
it's just-
if he had shutdown, that's the only thing I see with him is
I can
that
see that, yeah.
they didn't give him shutdown. I will say this because I got this a lot. It's one of the cards. So Barzal, I'll give this as an example. Barzal last week, his X factor was far better than his style icon. Not far better, but his abilities and just what you could put on him at his synergy split. His X factor was better than his. Not that his style icon was bad. I still think it was the best. But Carlson is the opposite. His X factor, because his speed synergies are all in one, he can't get another one. And his abilities on his icon, or his I always call it icon, his MSP is they split up his skating synergies and his other than shutdown, his abilities are really good.
Yeah.
So like I'm out on X Factor Carlson. I think that if you want him, that you should grab the MSP version.
The MSP. I agree with you. Yeah, I've been telling people to get rid of the X Factor Carlson just because like this one came out. It's way better. and it's also cheaper considering the cost after you do all the power up collectibles.
Yeah, like it's yeah, I agree. I think that when you look at costs now, like there's only a few X factors that are worth upgrading. I
Mhm.
got so much flack about Matthews and Drysaitel, about how I said that their X factors are not worth upgrading unless they hit 99. And when they go, so we're gonna see something very interesting here because Duchesne. We're going all over the place, but Duchesne hit 99.
Yeah.
And I am very curious to see what EA does because for anyone that doesn't know, obviously speed goes up by 0.5. But to hit 99 overall on the card, there's a point at which all the stats have to jump like 8. Like if you look last year, the gold icons, for example, when they did the bronze, silver, gold, there was a huge jump on some of the gold icons because to get their overall up, let's say Pronger, his skating is so low because he's so big, right? But for him to get to 99, right, there's a point at which he's like 91 skating and it flies up to 98 because
Yeah, that was because he had already started off at like 98 D awareness on like his
yes,
bronze or silver,
exactly.
right? So they
So
had to
all of
like
his other attributes have to catch up. So if
Mhm.
Matthews and Draisaitl, if they get 90, so this is what a lot of people keep questioning me on, is that they gave out a lot of 98s and they did not want to give out 99s last year. And it seems dumb and arbitrary, but that I think that's why. They'll basically give +1 to stats, and you'll actually notice their stat go up, but their overall doesn't tick over. If Matthews and Draisaitl, because if they get 99 skating, like if they go up to 99, let's say they get like 97, okay, Matthews and Draisaitl are among the best. Like they're
They are
great.
for
Although
sure.
their
Yeah.
X factors have really crap abilities, which is another reason why I don't think that they're worth the cost. Draisaitl's 93 was going for 280, and his
His
90,
93 MSP.
yeah, and it
Okay.
had better, like it had the same. I think it actually had better skating and a better ability, and I was just like that. This is the reason why. But
Mhm.
Linden, for example, I think Linden has more longevity if you are going to go after one, and because he has potentially the best combo of abilities that you could have on a
He really
centerman.
does. That was my thing for him. It's like even if he doesn't make like my first or second line GWC, which he most likely won't, if you have him on like your fourth line, he has silver quick draw,
Sure. I
right? So
wish
it's
he
only
had
three
gold quick
points.
draw. That would be the end if he.
I do too, but he has 99 faceoffs already, right?
Yeah.
So that still helps a lot. Like so he has like no matter what, he has the best faceoffs plus the silver quick draw.
Yep.
Um, and he has the gold born leader, which is pretty huge sometimes. How's the game going right now? What's the score?
23-21 Kansas City. The end of the third quarter.
Okay.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's Barkov is interesting, but he's an inch shorter, and it's just I don't know, man. I don't know. Center is so difficult this year. Again,
Well, they
kudos.
answered the thing though, like because we were saying there's not a lot of good centers that you could use in like that 93, 94 overall range. They did release two right now that are among the best.
Yeah,
Maybe for a short period of time, but
yeah. Let's
Barkov and Linden.
let's talk about that. So I've seen a lot of complaints about the event, obviously, and do people that complain about the event not like because the number one complaint is like none of these cards will be on my team in the end game, right? My question was, and I understand when I release content, I'm like, hey guys, you probably shouldn't make any of these, right? My question is, I get that I spend money on the game and I play the game a ton so I can have whatever card I want, but like, do you not want to have a good team now? Like, if your whole goal is to maybe it's the very very small, is this the GWC or is this what Hockey Ultimate Team is because you know that eventually your team's going to be 99 and like because after GWC the interest just dies
I would think so, and not only that, it's like
socially anyways.
yeah, but like if that's the complaint, we're like, hey, this card's not going to be on my team. Like if you go back to any year, any card through like February probably isn't going to be on your team. So you just ignore everything and never buy a card and just save up
Yeah.
5 million coins.
Yeah, I
You
just
know, I don't get it.
you know, again, maybe I'm being biased because I really think I'm going to start my free to play series
Mm.
this week because I hit Division 1 and now I've gotten my game to the point where it was last year, which is about 15 wins and champs, and I guess
Yeah.
we could talk about that in a second. But yeah, it's just the way with events, man. Like I understand the complaints. I'll say this: the choice of masters it continues to be weak. They could have done a million options for the leaders event. Randy Carlisle. You're a
That
Penguins
was
fan.
such a strange one.
How
He's not
low
even
on the
highly
list?
regarded.
Yeah,
He's not even as a Penguins fan. And it's like I've been a Penguins fan like my whole life, right? Like and I don't even think of him, right? Like you get those players from the 80s and stuff or 90s whatever. He's not one that's ever mentioned. So it's such a strange choice and it's like if you have him like why not like Paul Coffey or something, like if you're going like a Penguins defenseman. I don't get it.
it's so obscure and it's annoying. Like that part I find really annoying because they have such a strong alumni pool. You
Yeah,
know,
and
I
if
yeah.
you want to go leaders, right, and you're looking for like Lidstrom's in there,
I
like there's
know,
like a
like dude,
there's
like
so many players.
yeah, like I remember last year when they did the Jerome McGinley Kellogg's one, and Jerome McGinley's one of my favorite players of all time, and I was just like, man, I gotta get that. Like the cards that are like, wow, I want that, which is
Mm,
why my ass was so chapped about the Carlson Burns thing because as a Sharks fan, that's all we've gotten for 3 years. So I feel
yeah.
no like, ugh, I gotta get them. I just like Burns is one of the best righties though. It's
Mhm.
just yeah, like I don't know, man. I think that they need to stop overthinking it. I feel like that's what they're doing. They're just overthinking and trying to be like not edgy, but like
Yeah.
odd.
I mean, edgy would be like putting out like a Tony D'Angelo MSP,
I guess
like
yeah, it's the wrong word for it.
the
Yeah, I guess that
yeah
would be it.
but the Randy Carlisle choice is just way off the wall.
Yeah, like even in the other ones, like Barkov. Okay, I get that one. And Linden for the most part
I get
too.
Linden, yeah. I mean, they could have really trolled the Canucks fans by doing like a Messier Canucks like MSP.
Yeah,
Could you
like
imagine?
dude, a
That would
leader
have
like
been
that's who I think of
terrible.
as Mark Messier. Like it's just
Yeah, but like as the Canucks one, I was
that
thinking
would
that'd
have
be
been
funny.
that would have
Yeah.
been good, dude. It's just yeah, I didn't really understand. I understand that one, and again, but it's only a 1 week event, guys, and I think they really, like I said, they back themselves into a corner with the amount of content that they have to put out. It's just,
Yeah.
so not every
It's
event can be a
staggering.
banger, and it did lower the market. I was saying this that every cost for every card was at its absolute peak the week before. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking like 83s, 84s. You could sell 80 overalls for 1,600 coins. Like it is just absurd. And now it's starting to come back down because you have a bad event. No one wants to, buy and make any of these cards. So yeah, so Trevor Linden I think is the only one that is kind of interesting in this event. Hellebuck does on paper look to be the best goalie in the game. He's technically an inch taller than Price, has goal post to post.
Yeah,
So
he's now the best goalie. I agree
yeah.
with you. But like, so this is another event where they release like a 94 overall like gold post to post goalie, and it's like, how many are they going to release? And it
So
seems. What were you
I'll
gonna
I'll
say?
say I'll say this. I think one of the interesting things about X Factors in Hut is that it does assist with some of the things that attributes cannot. So for the last 15 years of online gameplay, Ben Bishop is your goaltender. Okay?
Mhm.
Like agree like that's who it
Yeah,
is.
that's
It's
been the
whoever is
goalie.
the biggest. The addition of X Factors allows smaller goaltenders to be viable. So I in a sense I like it, but you're seeing them because again, EA or Brendan and Will, the two new Hut content developers, they were very meta players. Like they used to grind the game. They're in all of our Twitch chats all the time, and they used to grind the game, and they understand the meta of like, hey, this is what will help a card. This is what will make it interesting. And I think that they found out with smaller goaltenders under 6'4" is pushing it. Anything higher than that, if you give goal post to post, you're just like you're I don't want to say breaking the game, but you're making like a situation where that's Justice and Noonan from last year, where
Yeah.
everyone needs to have him. And I think that it does finally make smaller gold smaller. It's 6'4", but I mean, like it makes them viable,
Yeah.
and I like that. Now if they have to put goal post to post on every goaltender under 6'4", it gets a little boring. But like that at least allows you to use that card and make it viable in competitive play. I'm all for that, in all honesty. The other one I want to talk about. So I was talking about this last week, and I mentioned it to Brendan as well, EA Hawk, for anyone who knows him. I said that I think this year he was watching a stream of mine, and I was talking about how Adam Fox. I was really high on him because last year Cale Makar's card with high body checking was so good, which was so weird because smaller defensemen just never seem to be effective. But it seemed that he had high enough body checking where he could initiate the stumble animation, which is what makes big players so effective in their own zone, especially. And then you have Cale Makar, who's so fast and his shot so good that it just was like the perfect package. And I saw the Adam Fox when he put spark booming shot on him, he can get up to like 95 body checking. And it's just not the same. It's not NHL 21. I cannot get the bump animation to save my life. He gets shrugged off. You've only got to play the stick on him, which is fine. It's not like he's a bad card. It's just that part of the game that I thought would come, that everyone, well, a lot of people thought would come, just didn't. So I had been talking about the only thing that I could see that they could try is to put truculence on the little guys and see if it changes. And it does appear they gave a 94 Fox that came out, the 16-bit one, that had truculence. And I had a lot of people come to my in my chat and on Discord and on my YouTube comments saying that it works like that. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of small defensemen have truculence, and I don't think it makes them overpowered. I just think it makes them viable, which, again, I'm all for. It doesn't have to be gold truculence, but if you're going to give out a defenseman that's like Jared Spurgeon or Corey Torrey Krug, have them silver truculence on them, I think.
Yeah, so that might fix it. That's also just a little bit disappointing because it's just like putting a Band-Aid on like a fundamental gameplay thing of the past 10 years.
We're literally just talking about NHL, so like that is what we do.
I know.
Just Band-Aids, which is what it is. I mean, like, we don't have replays anymore because they had put a Band-Aid on the desyncs, right? It's like, this appears to be a Band-Aid for it, but I would rather the ability to use more types of cards if it meant that they have to have a certain ability. It's lame in that sense, but...
It is. It's very lame. I'm sorry.
There's no other way to make them viable. If we're going to have an event, you're going to cover and you're going to tell people to go use hut cards every week. If a defenseman's under 6 foot, you're saying, or under 6'2", you're saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's a problem. Like I would rather be like, if Carlson, the last Carlson that came out last week, if he got silver truculence on him, that would have changed a lot of things because his skating is so good, his shot's so good, he's very good at handling the puck. If he would have been able to actually knock people off of the puck in the offensive zone, it makes him a lot more interesting as opposed to the alternative, which is Brent Burns with gold shutdown and it's clearly the best.
So we did have actually. I was interested to hear the backstory on the Brent Burns. EA Hawk Brandon was in my stream on Thursday or Friday, and he was talking about that Brent Burns card specifically. And then Daddy Padre was in there too, saying that some of these MSP defensemen that are coming out with gold shutdown a little bit too OP, Hedman, Burns, etc. Right, they're the biggest defensemen. They have gold shutdown. And EA Hawk mentioned that they were originally thinking about having Burns not have that and have Heatseeker instead.
Yep.
Which I thought was great just because like that ties into the Brent Burns' play style, right? He just rips wrist shots from the point.
That's what he's
non-stop.
Good at. That's what he's the best at.
Yeah, so I was kind of disappointed to hear that they decided to go the gold shutdown route. I mean, it made him a better hut card.
If he didn't have gold shutdown, man, he is very slow. Like he is slow. Like there's no way around that. But
I don't notice it though. That's the thing. Like, and you were mentioning it earlier with like the 6'4" like range and stuff. So as I was streaming like my HUD Champs games this weekend, and like anytime like I had to chase down like a McDavid or Duchesne with like Brent Burns, like I wasn't really getting beat. Like his reach makes up for it. I don't notice.
I guess it does.
Speed.
I guess it does make up. I think that the majority of the player base, though, when they give up end-to-end rushes, that
maybe it's the positioning, the angles.
Yeah, like you have to remember that your positioning is so good, which is what allows you to use the bigger, slower guys, right?
Thank you, Sleeves.
Well, it's just but like I'll say this, man, like gold shutdown needs a big buff in the ability cost because I played someone. I had my best champ. So guys, I had my best champs run I had this year. I finally feel like I'm back. Thank you. Like 15 wins. I finally feel like I'm back to like where I was last year, and like just on the outside of GWC, the 128, and like I finally like Division 1. I'm not getting smoked out by guys I've never heard of before anymore. So like I finally feel good and confident about my game, and I ran into somebody on my run, and he had Burns, Hedman, and then he had Carlo and Bouwmeester. And I was like, the reason why those guys are so valuable, for anyone listening and they don't know why, when you are trying to enter the zone and they have two guys back or even one guy back, you cannot get close. Because shutdown is an automatic knock off the puck if they're in range. Their reach is absurd because they're so tall. And you will get bumped off unless you're using Matt Sundin going 3 miles an hour. Like, there is no way around them. And that significantly makes it very difficult. So I'm okay if they have gold shutdown because I think that, there should be cards that everyone is like, man, like that's so good, that's exciting. Because if they didn't, you end up with events like this where no one's excited because like I'm not going to use this in a month, right?
Yeah.
I do think that there should be cards that are, I don't want to say overpowered, but extremely powerful because that's what you should be chasing. There's a reason why Hedman's over a mil, right? Like, as he should, but they need to go from, what is it, 2 for gold shutdown?
2, yeah, 2. I
That
think
needs
it
to
should
be
be 4 or
6.
6. Yeah.
6, man, because
And
it
I
is.
also think post to post
Yeah.
should go up too.
I'm okay with post being 10.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to
If it goes to 10, then no one's gonna.
I would say 6 or 8.
Yeah, 6 or 8.
I think 6 or 8's good. Like if you want to make that investment in your goalie, like it's 4 points. Even I'm using that. Like,
dude, it's not.
It's way too cheap.
The animation that it allows them to do the L2 up against the post, because that's what happens is when with goal post to post, if you manually control your goaltender, you hold L2 and you go left or right. That's what makes you fly over left and right really fast. But with goal post to post, they hug the post, which makes that shot short side like you can't. It's easily. And I'm not lying. I actually think it is the best ability in the game, in terms of what it does. And then shut down.
Every single time I play like that Carey Price, it's like 2 or 3 saves like a game where it's like that should be a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's less than 10% of your AP cost right there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And like wheels, I don't know if I noticed. I have wheels on my McDavid, silver wheels on my McDavid and McKinnon, and then I have the 99 Duchesne. And I invest like 20 points in those 3 cards. That's my first line, though. I'm also running McDavid at center, which I actually don't mind. Because you can't, right now, Duchesne and McDavid team of the year have to be on the first line. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're so good that, like, and they're so above until the rest of the game catches up, essentially. There isn't 2 forward cards that are near them, except maybe Lemieux. But he's so rare that, like, that's not very common. So I have them on the first line together, and it's nuts when they have the puck. Like, it's sort of
I mean 99 everything will do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But all right, so I had someone come into my chat. I'm debating talking about this. I'm not gonna make an in-depth video about it, and we had varying different results with it. So I guess this would be interesting. But someone had said, "Wow, try holding down R1 in triangle while you're checking." It was someone in my chat. I want to say it was. I don't remember. I want to say it was Metro Achilles, but I don't think it was him. Anyways, he came to my chat and said, "Hey, try holding down R1 in triangle." And I started doing it, and it doesn't look any different. But what it appears to do is when you're holding down triangle while doing it, it's almost like it activates the fight animation, and your player is chasing and like getting you'll notice, guys, in the high divisions, you'll be able to notice exactly this. So there's games when I'm streaming, or there was, where I would get pochecked just an absurd amount. And it was like from behind, where it would be like, it basically not pocheck cleanly, but it was just like, it would cause a jumble in the rush, and the puck would just be lost by me. And I couldn't understand what it was. And now, starting to use R1 in triangle, or R3 apparently. You click in on the right stick. It appears that when you do that from behind or the side, it still gives you a penalty if when you hit R1 initially, it goes through the skates. That is still, it's not like it gets around that. But when you just hold it out and you don't get that tripping call, it like causes an incidental contact that knocks the puck loose that is at a extremely high rate. And when you're intercepting passes too, or the puck's free and you hold down R1 triangle, it's so locked on automatic that it has just made my gameplay much better. It was like what was missing. Like, and call it what it will, if it's like, glitching or abusing the mechanics of the game. But this has been a game for 2 years. I just had no idea.
I was in your like Discord channel actually. I think it was like Friday afternoon, and somebody was mentioning it, talking about it. So I popped in your chat, and everybody was talking about it, and I had no idea it was in the game.
And you're like one of the best of the mechanics.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like usually if something's in the game, like I'll hear about it from like somebody else too. But like, so after I was done watching you, I was like driving home later. I called Junior Pence.
I was about to say, did you call Pence?
I called Pence. I'm like, hey, R1 in triangle, what do you know about it? He had no idea either.
Like Gren and uninstall, like I don't know if they're just trolling. And maybe they didn't actually know, and they were like, dude, they found out, and it could just be, maybe it's in my head. Maybe it's because you tried it, and you did not see a difference. right?
I think there's certain times you could use it. I didn't see a difference defensively.
I'll tell you, where I noticed it the most. If you two are, if you're rushing for a free puck and you hold down
Yes.
R1 in triangle, it's like your guy gets a boost or something.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say
And
going for a loose puck in like the corner boards or
yeah, and
something, or on the forecheck. Yeah.
it like doesn't get a penalty unless you're like, when you initially hit R1, when you both are skating for a loose puck and you run into the boards, let's say you don't beat the guy, it will knock the puck free. Like it, and I don't know if it's broken. Like I don't, because I really I don't know if it's something they need to fix, or if it's now just something that is noticed by like the large masses and we're just gonna have to adjust to it, because you still get penalties. Like if you're holding
Yeah,
down
you do.
R1, like if you tap L2 or spin move around and someone's doing that, you're gonna draw a penalty. But yeah, like on loose pucks and in the neutral zone, like, and another big bonus is that when you're doing that and you're going into the boards, because you're holding down triangle, you automatically board hold.
I
So
didn't think
like,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, like it's a little awkward because you basically have to claw, or you're taking your thumb off the defensive skill stick. But yeah, it's just, I have a feeling that there's going to be a large part of the player base that doesn't like it, and I'm not
So
gonna make
what
a
did
go ahead.
sorry, Sleeps, you finished there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make a video on telling people how to do it because I don't think that's right, and I'm very conflicted if it is a glitch. It definitely feels a little dumb. I'll say that. And now I
Yeah.
realize when I'm playing certain people that they've been doing it to me, and I can tell immediately when you guys are rushing for a puck. So when you're playing someone, if you're in the higher divisions and you see someone holding out their stick while skating for a loose puck, it's because they're holding down triangle. So
Okay.
what were you
What
saying?
did Gren and Uninstall say about that? Did they know about it
They
or
said that
were?
they knew about it. Yeah, and it was
Huh.
something. It was something like that. Triangle with other animations apparently is does some weird stuff.
So I wonder if it does it with the hitting too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like because triangle initiates you basically chasing someone down to get a fight. Like, when you're not like, in like contact with each other. When you hold down triangle, there's still a thing in the game where it's like, hey, okay, you want to fight that guy.
Yeah, I wonder if also that's what this is like super in depth, but like Nip and Biscuits with the hip checks that always seem to like fly towards your guy.
Yeah, like I
Um,
don't yeah, like that could be it too. Those hip so that hip check thing, that's annoying. That is really
yeah, and
dumb.
I'm disappointed it's still in the game because I don't use it because I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna learn this. This is stupid, but it's so effective.
Yeah, because it back
Um,
skates really fast. You get a boost to it, and
yeah,
again, it tracks. Like it's there's something with it. There's something triangle does some weird stuff apparently, but yeah, like it's. I think that whoever's gonna listen to this is pretty hardcore about the game. I think
mhm.
so. If anything, I'd love for you guys just to watch out for it. If you want to use it, sure, mess around with it. I still think that in my mind that I don't think it's really doing all that much,
I don't think it is.
except for
I'm
the loose
not
puck.
using it myself, like
Yeah, except
really,
for the loose puck
because
thing. That you notice. Like it's like he gets a little extra gas. Like I don't know. Weird.
do you remember the ghost poke in NHL 13?
No.
Okay, so for people listening, and it's under the same exact thing. If you were trailing a player, right, following a player, and if they were holding down R2 to pass it, and you were behind them, if you tap triangle, they would lose the puck.
Oh,
So you
I
could be
do
like
remember
you
that.
could
Yes.
yeah, you could be like 5 to 10 feet away from a player. If you would just tap triangle like the whole time skating behind them, as soon as they would go for a pass, like they would just lose the puck. It was like a huge game breaking glitch in the game, and this is very similar. And I had
Hmm.
thought like they patched that like the year prior, but I wonder if there's still like those like things in the game that where initiating the fight does certain things, which clearly it does, right?
Yeah, I think maybe it's something that we have to
It's
bring
weird.
up. The game changer chat. I'm just still I'm not
We
sure if
probably
it's.
should. We probably should have. Yeah.
Yeah, like part of me is like, hey, like I don't want to be the tattle on the but like I don't know if I feel I'm gonna use it this week again, and
Mm.
I'm gonna kind of get like a sense of if I actually think it is like a glitch. You know, it's
Yeah, I
it's
have to see some more of it because
it's
I think in
when you're
general,
behind someone, and if
yeah,
you hold R1 and you do it manually, you're gonna get a penalty.
yeah.
And I would say 20% of the time you get a penalty when you do, from what I've used it so far, behind someone. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it's definitely something that definitely needs to be looked at further at least. But I think it is some to do with triangle. So um uh Last thing before we get into our questions, I want to talk about is just the market real quick. Because this event is kind of crap in the eyes of everyone else. I don't think it's all that bad. Again, it's a 1 week event, and we're about to get the All Star event, guys, which is usually one of the most fun events. So you guys got to remember that. The All Star event is usually really fun. So the market right now, if you're free to play or you just started in January, or maybe you don't have a very good team, you really need to look at the 90 overalls and the 89 overalls. There's some really good values there. I don't think it's worth because of the floor that those sets set. So like the 85s, 86s, 87s are going for a lot of coins that these players shouldn't, like if you were to take the player and use them on your team, like an 87 is not worth 35,000 coins. Very few of them are. Like very few are worth 87,000 coins. Whereas the 90s and 89s, like there's some very good ones at like 50K, and I think that's where you should be focusing. So if you were just starting, would you be focusing on players like that, or what would be your mindset for a new player that started in the holidays?
If I was just starting, I think yeah, it'd be like that 89 to 90. There's even like 91s and stuff too.
Dude, that's
There
nuts.
were was it the Winter Classic, like the Barbashev? There's like a couple
The
players like that that
Wallman,
were
I
like
think.
yeah. I would start there. I would start like the 90 Eric Stahl. I would start at the 85 like
90 Eric Stahl was one
Vemel.
I mentioned. Yeah,
What's that goalie's name?
Vamelka.
Vimelka. People have told me how to pronounce that about 20 times, and I still don't even know how.
Plays for Arizona, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So I would start there for sure. I agree with you.
Yeah. All right, let's take some questions. We've got a lengthy list of questions, so
Yes,
let's.
we do. Before we get in these questions, though, last week I told my wife what we were talking about. I was like, take responsibility, and you're like, she basically called me a hypocrite because she's like, do you not remember how you used to act whenever you used to lose games and stuff?
I would. Okay, yeah, hang on. So one of the funny things that I'm seeing, and again, I am just getting flamed basically daily on Reddit now, and maybe that comes with, I managed to get to a point in my content career that I hit a nice height that I didn't anticipate, and maybe that just comes with the territory. But it is like every day I'm getting a shit post about me, which is fine. I've picked this career if I could take it. But one of the ones that kills me is that when people are like, yeah, he streams the game, and when he loses his mind. Not just me specifically, but like a lot of the streamers, let's say Henrique or any of those guys, Josh. There isn't one person on Reddit on that play on on the league, like anyone that is very good at the game that plays at the highest level or like Division 3 and above, that does not lose their mind when you lose in this game behind the screen. Just because our camera's turned on doesn't mean that you guys aren't launching controllers left and right. I just want to make that very clear because I love it, because I guarantee you anyone that's talking about streamers and people, losing their mind when they lose, bro, just laugh at it, man. Be like, dude, like that's me. When I watch Josh is he's the person I watch the most in the community. I don't get a lot of time to watch Twitch streamers. I watch you in the morning when I'm done videos, and then I watch Josh at night because it's like going back to work. And, like I feel when he loses his mind, I'm like, God, dude, I'm like living through it because it's like, dude, everyone has been there. So, anyways,
Yeah.
Karen.
I have a scar on my fist here from whenever I lost GWC by a goal bouncing off of like two defensemen's feet, and then I punched the wall. So like,
Was that the
I just
punch or
want
the
to say
kick? That was one of the first
was
years. Do you remember the kick?
I do remember the kick. That
Dude,
was
God, dude, I don't have that picture anymore. Guys, before me and Kesso were the hosts of Coffee and Chow, this is 2018. This is first year GWC.
yeah, and that's the sad thing is I was like 24, 25 at the
Yeah,
time.
I will never forget. I known Kesso. He was you're probably one of the first friends I'd made in the community very early on, and we were in like a Discord or something, and I'll never forget that picture where it was like, "Yo, Kesso, how's your game going?" And you literally just sent a picture of the hole in the wall. We've all been there, bro. We've
This
all
game's
been there.
rage inducing. Whenever there's a potential $50,000 on the line, and it
There's
bounces
5
off of
AIs, so like it's always gonna be very tough.
So I'm a hypocrite, but
Yep.
it is what it is. Live and learn.
We got a podcast. You guys make a podcast. You can talk about whatever you want. You can say whatever you want.
All right, let's get into questions here. The Wondering Toker asked, talk about the matchmaking glitch and how it's pushing a larger part of online gamers away. It needs addressing by. I agree with you. I feel bad for those Division 4 and to 10 players that you have people that are in Division 1 that are logging on, playing one game, resetting their game, matching up against a D10 player, making them quit. It makes the regular player not even want to search in rivals. I'm assuming it's on the radar, VA. I'd have to assume, but there's so many issues in the game where it's like, where do they put their focus on? There's
My
so many glitches.
I'm curious. They'll never say this outright. I'm curious if it is a way to combat the fact that it's on 4 consoles. Like
That's what I was thinking.
I
Yeah.
think that might be it. If you're in division, so guys, I'm gonna speak to the other side here, not like the lower division guys, the higher division guys. If you watch Gren or there's some B Wubs even's at like 4,000. If you watch them and they search for a game, they're so high because they're. Well, let's talk about Gren specifically. He's one of the best in the world. He's so high up that for him to find a game, it rivals hard matches your opponent, your skill level, your division. That's what it's supposed to do. And for the most part, like last year, it did, and it was very difficult once you hit your plateau. But it would take like an initial like 5 minutes just to get down in the range of Division 1 guys, right? Now he's a very very small percentage of the player base. So in one sense, I get that like it allows them to find a game, and I think what the problem is, it stems because like why do it though? You know what I mean? One, a lot of people just want wins, and they don't want to play good players, and they avoid it. When we all remember when you could actually see your Hut Champs opponent and the nonsense that was. There's just a lot of scared boys in this community that want to, avoid a good matchup. But two is how Rivals works in Division 1. It is a bloodbath. If you are in Division 1 to get Diamond, like I play this game for a living, and I play all my games, and I struggle to get in there because everyone, like when you get to that point, like the players are so good that like a large portion of the reason why they're doing it is because it allows them to get a win, and they don't get less Rivals points by beating someone lower. It's the same. You five plus goals or 5 goals in a game and you win, you get 900 or whatever Rivals points, and it's just an issue with the Rivals points, like a Rivals issue. Because what's nuts is there's no leaderboard. Because back in like online seasons, you'd get people that just played online seasons even with no rewards because they wanted to flex the fact they get 1,000 wins. Hazy Hype is a perfect example. He used to only play online seasons. He would get no rewards for it, but
he is the funniest guy in the community.
Easily.
He came into my stream the other day. Because it was him, I wasn't mad.
Yeah.
But I said something like, "Oh, my wife's somewhere." He's like, "I'll send her over here."
Oh, dude,
like, Jesus Christ, Ace.
Dude, he asks for my wife's feet pictures all the time. And if you know who Hazy Hype is, again, weird kid, but he's
it's funny.
He's
Anybody else, it's like that's an instant.
But like, dude, like
get
out of my chat, you mutt. Like, yeah, Hazy Hype. It's just the kid's harmless, but he's 25, so there's that. But anyways.
It's less funny now.
It's like the issue is like, it needs to be addressed. I think that when it's next year, when it's cross console, or hopefully, this wouldn't be an issue, but I feel like that's what it is. I think it's just they can't figure out a way to find you guys games. It sucks. Yep. It absolutely is awful for the lower division. Like I can't like that must be awful.
It must be terrible. Any more you wanted to add here, Sleeves?
Nothing.
All right. So the next question's from Hugo15. When, if ever, can we expect to see higher overall gold player trade-ins for performance upgrade collectibles? Example, 83 plus, 86 plus.
I don't know if they will. I'll explain why. I think that would... I think it would overpower the X factors. Because if everyone also, I mean, it would significantly damage the events. Like the cost for 83s and whatnot would fly. Would it not?
Yeah, I think it would. I think that's a big issue too. And it's like if you can trade those in, like right now the performance upgrade collectibles are tough to get. There probably should be easier paths to it, but then people wouldn't run in you could have like 10, 15 X factors, right? Fully upgraded, no issue at all. I don't know where like the balance is in that.
There needs to be a squad battle variant of power up collectibles because Hut Champs is really like if you can get to 11 wins in Hut Champs, you're golden. Like you're gonna be, you can make it. You have a team like mine where almost every player is upgradable. That's but guys that can't get 11 wins in Hut Champs is much more difficult. So they need to have a Hut Champs variant of it. Again, I think, again, I look at the EA side because I know what's going on in the background and what the impact it could be negatively. I just think that it might overpower the ability to get power-up collectibles, and I would be curious to see if that would ruin because you would just everyone's X factor would be maxed out.
It would be.
Because the goal would be with the higher overall cards right now is to participate in the events. But the people complaining
Yeah.
about it are the ones that are going to be playing and have an end game team, and they don't participate in the event because the events don't have end game cards for the most part. So they're like, hey, I want a way to upgrade my X Factor card, which is an end game card.
Yeah. Yeah. So to answer that for myself too, I don't know.
Yeah. It won't happen. I don't think there will be.
Yeah. ABCDEFZ asks, so Sleeves, you made some comments in the last few weeks that casual players don't watch your content. Just want to chime in that I'm not only casual, but offline for Hut. Examples, Hut Rush, Squad Battles, and enjoy the hell out of the content you guys produce, especially the podcast. Well, thank you. In that context, you guys poop on Hut Rush a lot. And while I love your idea about having events, body checking is cranked to 99 or it's all 6-7 players, I have to say that having some skill stuff in there has been really helpful to me. I wouldn't know how to do moves like wraparounds or hip checks without them being in rush challenges, and stuff like score 15 goals with defense or off one-timers have been great because they forced me to create those situations. The question, are you guys good with different modes and at different audiences, or do you think EA should lean harder one way or the other in terms of arcade casual versus sim or competitive? Couple of things in there. So I think this is why it's great that we do this podcast and other stuff too. I always have such a shallow view of like what I view, what people want, and sometimes I'm wrong. Hut Rush example. I was like pooping on it like 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh, at least we have Hut Rush. Nobody wanted that. This is a player that literally learned basic mechanics in the game.
When you were saying that, I never thought about that, and it's funny because like I get that NHL does not do a very good job of telling you how to do things, like deeks and things like that. And that it's funny that Hut Rush would make you do it because you actually, even if it doesn't show you in game, you would go online and be like, how do I do a windmill deek? Something like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also like we do this podcast where we record for an hour every week. I stream about 8 hours a week. You stream way beyond that number compared to me, right? So I'm talking 9 hours a week on camera, on audio, whatever. I'm an idiot. I'm going to say a bunch of dumb things 8 of those 9 hours, and I'm going to be wrong on some things. It's just my opinion. It's also my uninformed opinion sometimes, too. So whenever I say things on here, I'm not saying them as fact unless it's related to like a strategy in the game or something. So it's always good to hear the other side of it. Another thing to add to that, because the main question in that was, are you guys good with different modes aimed at different audiences, or should EA lean one way or the other? I think EA should try to bring everybody in. I want to see things aimed at competitive community because that's what I play. I think EA is in such a tough spot with this game because the player base is so small that they can't have something to please everybody. Because we have the rivals issues, we have the Hut Rush issues. Like we have so many issues based on the player base. So I can't really answer if it should lean one way or the other. I would like to see it aimed more at the competitive community, but that's just for me specifically.
I aim to be able to play the game and grind the game and like produce content on it. So like I would lean. I understand why like Hut Champs Inc. and the competitive part of the game needs to be improved upon, but like I would much rather have other modes, as well as like not making rivals and the weekly chores be a thing still. Like that's my main goal is to find help with the ability to add in new modes so that there's more to do in the game. But like again, that's just the different viewpoints we have, right? Like Kesto is a competitive player and has been for like 15 years. I create content in this game for like a living, so like you can see why it's not like one size fits all in terms of like our opinions on it. But yeah, I personally think that like number one, they need to change the week to week pathing of what you're doing because it has been the same for 4 years almost. They need new modes in Hockey Ultimate Team that can actually provide value, and that's fun. And that's like what whereas Kessa is focused on the competitive side, which makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, professional one.
Do the one where I replied back when I said I need to answer that.
Okay, we want to answer that one first. All right, so some guy. This is a lengthy question. Let's see if I can get through this without messing up.
Yeah.
Been a fan of the show, but didn't love the negativity in this episode.
We were really negative in the last one, and I apologize. It probably came off wrong, but like
I do want to say one thing though. I think sometimes the negativity carries over. Where like I literally, not that I care because I don't care what anybody says,
Same.
but it's like some guy told me like, oh, I should kill myself today because I poke check in a video game. And you want to say like "f you" to that guy afterwards, right? So sometimes that negativity carries over, where you have like random people that have never met you online over something so dumb and trivial, tell you to kill yourself
Well,
over a video game. Like,
yeah, like I said, like from like earlier on, like on Reddit specifically, I am just getting flamed every day, and a lot of it is just super uninformed that people have a different viewpoint of me that is just absolutely not correct. Like that I think my opinion is more important than everyone else's. It's not, and I don't think I'm right in the sense that everything I'm saying is completely accurate. But my entire goal of my channel when I started it back 5 years ago was to help players that were below average become better at the game. And I'll tell you this, man. When you're in a content creation market, you won't get further if you're wrong a lot of the time.
yeah.
So like like I replied to one of the I have to stop replying because usually I'm very good at that, but there was just so much of it on Reddit specifically that people just want to shit on me because I told people how to do the L2 stuff. If you're getting absolutely crushed by guys that do it, me teaching you how to do it back if you want to win more, I don't understand how that's me ruining the game. It's in the game. If you want to win more, unfortunately, this is how you're going to have to do it. That's an EA problem, not me. But, anyways,
Okay, so yeah, so I get there was backlash on the Reddit post for sleeves, and it's tempting to fight fire with fire in that regard, but not everybody who dislikes spins is just a sore loser. He also asserted that people don't want a more sim-based game. Sleeves, he made this claim after NHL 21, then NHL 22 released with a more sim-based game to much more fanfare, so I don't know how you're dusting this one off again. A want for real hockey isn't inherently a stupid take, it's being progressed towards. Have you seen Cale Makar play? I think we all know that was in quotes. That was your quote last week.
yeah.
I think we all know it's a bit insincere to compare play to extended L2ing. So you want to answer that part first, Sleeves, or should I go on with the question?
Yeah. So, like, I feel like in NHL 21, it was very unrealistic because there was no pass intercept model. And this year, the game is very much more sim based than it was the year prior. We can agree on that, right? Like
Yeah,
the main way to set up goals in NHL 22 is not the L2s. It is passing plays. Kesso covers that extensively on his YouTube channel. Like, and that's what you had to figure out because it's the only way to score because the pass intercept model is back on. You can't force passes through five guys anymore, even though a lot of people complain that that's what happens to them. And D to D one timers don't go in nearly as much. So like um, it is much more sim based, and a lot of the player base that doesn't like this year's game might be because they didn't realize they didn't like want the real thing. Whereas I understand the people that do. I would love a game that's mimics it perfectly. I just think the perception of what you think that would be playing a video game version of it might be different than what it actually would be, is all. And
yeah,
then the Kale McCarr thing, like L I think when I talk about L2s or we talk about L2s, they think about NHL like 20, where like you would just literally like back and forth. It is very easy to defend the L2.
that's what I don't get, and I also get like a little like peeved, I guess, sometimes when people they made the assumption about you right with the L2 video, but then also like I'm lumped into it where if you go on my YouTube channel, I don't post like a ton, right? But like I literally have like a 17-minute defensive video, which I think is like the best video ever, and it's how to stop all of this stuff. And
Dude,
it's
if
like
you get
if I was
breathed
out
on,
there, yeah, if I was out there, like I don't really teach people how to like glitch the game. Like I have a couple goals on there that's like that, but like most of my content, if you look at like the set play stuff and stuff I have on there, it's extremely realistic. It's like so I don't know where sometimes people not
my how
not
to
this
score
person
video is
yeah
literally showing people how to use the overload and behind the net.
yeah
Like
it's
you know what I mean? And I don't think L2s and holding down, but like Kale McCarr's example in real life is that using great edge work. L2 and the ability to use it correctly is really just a super effective way to use edge work correctly. I don't think you should live on it, but if you're allowing someone to live on it, that's just not knowing how to defend it. And it is very
yeah.
easy. Once you learn how to do it, it's like, oh, okay. Anyways, carry on.
Yeah, so carrying on with this question, so why play online instead of squad battles if you don't like spins? That was a quote I think from me or you last
That
week.
was you.
It wasn't the trump card you guys thought it was. I guess it wasn't the trump card I thought it was. People can want to play a more competitive mode and still not love every part of it. It's not a contradiction. But hey, this is why I avoid hut champs. It's not bad advice, but there is room to prefer a more competitive game and still dislike parts of it. I'm gonna answer this a little bit. Yeah, I totally get where this person's coming from, like by disliking it. I think it's tough if that's what you're seeking out in like an online video game. Um, you might dislike it, but you can't go in expecting people are gonna play to your exact desires. I think that's what I said last week. But there's communities that you can join online where people play that way.
I,
You
I
can dislike it. What's
I
what's that,
would
Sleeves?
love, guys, if you're listening to this and you were really super, against the L2 stuff and whatnot, which I understand. Um, I want you guys to tell me how you want to play. I've never seen a post about. It's always everyone just holding down L2 or the right or the po check, but it's never like this is how the game should be played in the video game. And I just don't know what you guys what is being looked for maybe, and that's might be because I play the game at a higher level, and it's I understand the meta and the way that you have to play against certain opponents once you get to a certain range. But I'm just wondering, like, what is the way that you want to play?
And
I
why is that way the right way to
Yeah, why is
play?
that the right way to play? Because it is a
And
video game in the end.
it's a video game, and I think whenever we look at something like a video game, and like with the L2, like let's talk about like the L2 again because that's the hot topic. Um, Whenever you're controlling like let's take like Jake Gensel for example, right? You can move him in this video game with the L2, kind of how Kale McCarr, maybe he's the only one in real life and a few people can. Every player in this game can move like that, right? If every player in real life could move like that, they would probably do the same thing Kale McCarr does. The only thing is he's the only defenseman in the league that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, what is the right way to play, and why is that the right way to play?
Yeah, let us know.
I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not the smartest, but so I'm enjoying the show, guys. And Sleeves, as you said, you're just trying to provide people more information on how to be competitive as possible. No one should be bashing you for that. But you guys just came out swinging against anyone who thinks the higher levels of this game would be better served with less exploits and a closer resemblance to real life as nothing more than sore losers who just don't understand the real game, the video game, or even what they want and just want to avoid responsibility. That doesn't feel like the right response. Anyway, rant over. Looking forward to next week's episode. But as you guys did request responses to some of these comments, here you have them. Great idea for the moments card. Yeah, so if that's what I know this was kind of directed towards you, but if that's how that was perceived, at least, like, oh, you're just a sore loser or whatever, sometimes that is the case. It wasn't my, intention to be like, and I'm not apologizing because I definitely stand by a lot of what I said last week. But like, I'm not saying, where it was, I'm looking for this quote. Uh, I don't think we were like really bashing people. We were mostly bashing the people that were just complaining towards you. I wasn't saying anybody that wants to play a certain way is like a loser. I don't know.
I think that it's just if you, no one wants. I said this last week. No one wants to come home from work and lose. No one like losing in a video game is not fun unless the game is amazingly entertaining. And maybe it is for a lot of people, but this game hasn't really changed in the last 15 years. Exceptionally, like a large amount. So you probably don't overly enjoy the gameplay. So if you lose, you are now having a really bad time. So the only way to combat that is to get better. And I think that a lot of people, instead of just getting better and learning how to get better, will just keep doing what they've been doing and they just blame everything else. I think that was what we were trying, at least I think our point we were trying to make last week. And I understand that the game isn't the way to be good or the best is not what everyone considers real hockey. And it's not. It's a video game. You're playing a video game, right? Like it,
Yeah.
I understand why everyone, the people that want it to be a certain way, but if it's not going to be, and if you are not enjoying it by playing against those players, you got to learn how to defeat them, man. And if you just keep trying to play the same way that you deem to be the real thing, you're going to lose, and you got to be okay with that. Like that. I think that's what it comes down to. You have to be okay with that. And if you're not, then uh,
You have to be
off.
okay with it, right? It doesn't mean that the person that's doing an L2 or something is a loser, right?
They
You got
want to
to take
win.
yourself out of the situation.
There's no glitches in the game that they are doing something where the puck magically ends up in your net, guys. There is not. That is a glitch. Like,
Yeah.
there is not a way to make your goaltender lay down and just allow or get pulled because that would be a glitch. They are doing something. They are using the mechanics in the game to their fullest extent. And while it might not seem realistic when they do that, but it is in the game, and they have just done the due diligence of learning because they didn't want to lose. I think probably the better way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always sound a little bit more polished. I think that's the years of content creation, Sleeves.
Maybe, dude. Trying to talk
Yep.
out of my ass so people don't roast me on Reddit.
It's going to happen anyway.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I want to do one more here,
Yeah, let's
at
do one more.
least. So Maze always has some questions. So love the podcast. Always a good Tuesday when a new episode drops. I agree, Maze. He said,
It is
keep up the
fun,
great
man.
work. Yeah, Maze is one of the nicest guys.
He is, dude.
How would you guys, or how would you guys see on a battle pass, and how would the format be if you could decide? So for that idea, Maze, I had texted Sleeves this in one of my nerdy, like, while I'm sitting there at work and thinking of Hut things, like one day, and I was thinking like, how would a battle pass work in Hut? And I was also thinking like, if there was a battle pass, it'd have to get away from like the yearly release cycle. And I was thinking it would be like Magic the Gathering. I was never big into it,
I
but I had
loved
some
it.
friends in college. You were, okay. So how their competitive scene works is that they have like tournaments in Magic the Gathering where it's like only the most recent release or the most
Yeah.
three recent releases are
Yep.
allowed in tournaments, right?
Yep.
So if EA would move towards a battle pass system, if you wanted to play in a competitive atmosphere online, you could only use cards released in the most three recent events, right? So maybe if there's a battle pass, there's like a new, season every like 3 months, right? You can buy into the battle pass, you can spend a $20, get a starter pack so you can play online in this new season, and then you can unlock cards that you can use throughout this like 3 month season. That's how I perceive the battle pass. And then at the end, those cards are retired from competitive play. Maybe there's like a
There's got
not
to
a
be an
retro.
open. There's got to be an
there's
open.
there's an open version, right, where you can use cards from past events. But that way, also like the ceiling is always there on like 95 to like maybe like 98 overall cards. Like there's only like a few of those every release, and it's not like all 99 throughout like infinity.
It,
That's
it
how
would
I
be
perceive
it
it.
would be pretty interesting. It would take a big sports game to pull that off. The problem is always going to be that yearly sports games will never not be yearly because a majority of, for NHL as an example, it's a very small game. They don't make they make a lot of money on HUT, don't get me wrong, but they don't make more money than they do on game sales. So you're removing the $80 a year because the first that's what everyone says, like they need to make it 2 years and the game could get substantially different, right? How many people that would buy the game when it first comes out and then not play it? Like how many that buy like 3 months? There's probably a lot of people that buy the game at release and they don't play it all the way through, or maybe they play sixes, something like that, right? They've at least gotten their $100. If it was a battle pass system, you would have people that would pay $30 or whatever during that 3 month span, and then they might not come back for like another, or maybe they don't spend any money, and then they don't come back until like
Yeah.
7 months down the road. As a business, it doesn't make any sense for them to do that. I would love it to be what you just described, or like a program style where every few months there's a new program, much like an MLB. That would be phenomenal. I think it'd be a lot of fun, but I just don't see how they would do that.
I don't see it happening, so I feel like it's not even worth talking about because it's just not going to happen in this game. Not in my competitive lifetime, at least.
Yep.
Not in the next 5 years or
Nope.
2 years, whatever. Yeah.
That it?
Sleeves, there's a lot of questions, but we're also at the longest duration of our podcast so far right now.
Maybe we,
Um,
dude. Like we have to discuss. Like, what are we gonna do? 2 a week?
I don't know. What do you think? Like 2 weeks a
Uh,
lot, at least for my school. Like, so I just started up my semester again last week for my MBA program. I only have a year left now. So I got class Tuesday, Wednesday night. So between that, being married, pets, it'd be tough to do 2 a week, right?
I agree. And I think that like the fact it only comes out once, like it's a hype day.
Yeah, I agree. I do think because there are a few questions either on here, like on Reddit, or also on your YouTube channel that we didn't get to. So, like, if there was a question that you're like, I want to see it answered, like, repost it again. Because usually we get like 10 to 15, I think, questions on
It's
Reddit. And
quite a
then your
bit, man.
YouTube channel, we get a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
so I
agree.
don't know. We could also do like a 30-minute, one or something
Q
at
and
some
A
point.
one. I feel like it's funny because we're not trying to get through each question to answer every single one, but we're trying to thoroughly explain. And we probably answer other questions in those questions.
Well, yeah, that's a great example. So Maze had like 4 questions there, right?
Yeah.
Face of Hut and Michigan Lord. Do you guys want to talk about triangle plus R1?
Oh,
So we answered that in the podcast,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, we answered that. So yeah. Let us know, guys. So we always want feedback on it. I will pull back the curtain here. Our thought process when doing this was probably after GWC when Hut kind of dies, we would take a hiatus and only come back for like when we get big news about the further games. So. Maybe we'll keep it going. We'll have to see. You guys have passed over 10,000 downloads, which is absurd. We
Or
didn't.
an NHL Hut podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that is the niche of niche. So we appreciate that, guys. I'm looking at the wrong camera for like the last like 15 minutes. Sorry, guys. Habit. But yeah, guys, like it's been any feedback we have about the thing, I love. And I'll be clear again, guys. If you guys want to roast me, you don't like me, it's the internet. It's okay. I'm a big boy. I'll take it. But I'm seeing it all, and I would love to address it, but I'm probably not going to because usually that's the
It's
better way.
crazy because it's like sometimes when the roasts come, they just assume that you think you're the shit. Like you're just
Yeah,
like,
man, they don't like.
and they're
Yeah.
like, in Sleeves' is mind, he knows everything, and he's just like, it's just Sleeves is just like a dude that
I just turned the
is watching
camera on. That's the
football.
only
Yeah,
difference between me and a lot of you guys. I literally just turned the camera on 5 years ago. That's it. And I do my
yep,
homework for the most part. And again, like I said earlier, like I wouldn't have gotten to this spot if I was wrong more than I was right. Like it just wouldn't. I've never gotten the following because people would just be like, dude, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not helping. So, but
yeah.
anyways, guys.
Also,
Oh, good.
one more thing.
Yeah,
Some guy 2947 that had that lengthy thing.
yeah.
That I did agree with you on some of those things. Like, if you ever wanted to take that conversation or something, like you always can reach out to me on like Twitter or Discord or something. Because it's not that I disagreed with you or like didn't like what you said or something. I thought you had a lot of great points. So thanks for
I agree.
asking
That's
that
why
and
I wanted to
providing
address that
the
one. Yeah,
counterpoint. You know?
exactly. That
Yeah.
stuff, telling us why we're wrong as opposed to your shit, is just always the better way to go.
That's great.
Yeah. All right, guys. It has been great. Episode 17 in the books. Make sure you download, give it a rating, I think. I don't even know how podcasts work. But again, we appreciate all the content and you guys talking to us, and we'll be back next week. Have a good one, guys.